Now, the WNBA cashing in on its recent surge in popularity, scoring a media rights deal worth more than $2 billion.
They didn't just mess this up, they crashed it hard, and now everyone's acting shocked. Last night, the WNBA dropped a move so reckless, so loud, that even people who defended them for years are backing away. This wasn't a strategy. This wasn't a strength. This was panic. They're crashing out and they don't even realize how bad it looks. Joe Rogan saw it and went silent. Fans saw it and flipped sides. Players thought they were taking control instead. They may have pulled the plug on the entire league. Indefinitely. No clear end, no safety net. Here's the part no one wants to say out loud. This didn't come from power. It came from pressure, from timing mistakes, from decisions made too fast, too public, and way too emotional. Something bigger is breaking behind the scenes, and the story you're hearing right now isn't the full one. Stay with us because what's about to come out explains why this may really be goodbye forever. When momentum finally arrived and slipped away for nearly 3 decades, the WNBA lived on patience more than praise. Progress came slowly, sometimes so slowly it felt invisible. Crowds were often small, and outside of loyal fans, attention was hard to keep. Coverage appeared during big moments, then faded again. Through it all, the league stayed alive largely because the NBA continued to support it financially, season after season, even when profits never showed up.
2023, a WNBA player earned on average base salary of almost $114,000. An NBA player made an average base salary of $9.7 million.
Survival became the goal, not growth. Hope stayed, but it stayed quiet. Then something rare happened. The 2024 season didn't just change numbers on a chart, it changed the mood.
The WNBA season tips off tonight.
Games felt louder. Conversations started happening again in places where the league used to be ignored. Ratings didn't inch up, they jumped in a way that forced people to pay attention. Jerseys sold out faster than expected. Arenas filled in cities that once struggled to care. And for the first time in years, energy didn't disappear after opening night. New stars brought in, new eyes, and those eyes didn't look away. Casual fans stayed longer than a few highlights. They watched full games. They followed storylines. This wasn't just support, it was momentum finally showing itself. That shift didn't go unnoticed. Media companies began to treat the league differently. Sponsors who once waited on the sidelines started leaning in. Conversations about the future sounded more confident. New television deals were signed, with real money attached, scheduled to begin in 2026.
The WNBA because the league just moments ago released the schedule for the upcoming season. Could they meet to open their 2026 seasons?
For analysts who had followed the league from the start, this felt like the moment they had been waiting for since day one. The long climb finally seemed worth it, but momentum is fragile. It doesn't survive confusion. It needs stability, smart timing, and calm decisions behind closed doors. Instead, the league found itself walking into tense labor talks right as public interest peaked. The timing couldn't have been more delicate. Every move carried weight. Every message was watched closely. Small missteps suddenly felt bigger because more people were paying attention than ever before. Behind the scenes, pressure started to build. Expectations grew fast, pushed by excitement and new attention. But income hadn't caught up yet. The big money was promised, not delivered.
The WNBA is projected to double their revenue this year from 2019, but player salaries have barely budged.
When expectations rise faster than reality, tension follows. Decisions become rushed, lines blur, and that's usually when mistakes happen, not small ones, but the kind that can shake momentum at its core. The negotiation that turned personal labor talks are usually dull on purpose. Quiet rooms, closed doors, careful language. Long pauses between updates. Most fans never even notice them. That's how they're supposed to be. Slow progress may be frustrating, but it keeps things stable. This negotiation, however, didn't stay boring for long. The collective bargaining agreement reached its end, and everyone involved knew a new deal was necessary. Owners moved first and made their position public. They said there would be no lockout, no sudden shutdown forced from the top. That single statement mattered. It signaled calm, it showed patience. More importantly, It gave the owners control without sounding aggressive. They didn't rush. They didn't threaten. They waited. The response from the players' union went in a very different direction. Instead of matching that quiet tone, messages came out fast and heavy. Statements were long and emotional. The language felt sharp. It sounded less like two sides trying to close a deal and more like a battle being prepared. Protests followed. Visuals meant to show strength instead drew attention for the wrong reasons.
Players boycotted over the shooting of Jacob Blake
from a tournament that she was supposed to play in protest.
From the outside, it didn't feel like a strategy. It felt personal. Fans watching this unfold didn't see cooperation. They saw tension. They didn't see the plan. They saw pressure. Even people who understood the players' frustrations began to pause. The messaging created distance instead of unity. What was meant to gather support started pushing it away. That shift happened quickly. Public perception doesn't move slowly when emotions are involved. Comment sections began to change tone. Supportive voices grew quieter. Critical ones grew louder. People who once defended the players started asking uncomfortable questions. Not about fairness, but about approach. In professional sports, optics matter. In a league that still depends on outside funding and public goodwill,
there's more influx of funds coming into the W, and then that will allow for the next level of salaries.
Optics matter even more. This contrast became impossible to ignore. One side stayed controlled and measured. The other stayed loud and reactive. That difference shaped how the entire situation was seen. It wasn't just about demands anymore. It was about demeanor. Joe Rogan's reaction later captured that moment perfectly. He didn't explode. He didn't mock. He paused. That pause wasn't confusing. It was recognition. Anyone who's watched strong negotiations knows they don't look like this. They don't feel this. Exposed. They don't turn emotional before the numbers are settled. What should have stayed behind closed doors had moved into the spotlight. And once negotiations turn personal in public, the focus shifts away from solutions. It becomes harder to step back, harder to reset, and much harder to keep momentum from slipping away. The money problem nobody wanted to face. The part that most debates skip over: the numbers, the math, the hard reality nobody wants to talk about. Because it's not emotional, it's not flashy, and it doesn't make for viral clips. But this is the part that decides whether a league survives or collapses. The WNBA has never posted consistent profits. Not once in nearly 30 years.
Since the WNBA was founded in 1996, it has averaged losing about $10 million per year.
Not a single season where the books showed money left over after paying salaries, travel, arenas, staff, marketing, insurance, and all the operational costs. Every year, the league spent more than it earned. And that gap, the NBA filled it. Every season. Without that support, the WNBA wouldn't exist today. That's the quiet truth behind all the excitement of game highlights, big plays, and buzzer beaters. Players, understandably, wanted a bigger slice of revenue. On paper, asking for revenue sharing, like the NBA or NFL, seems reasonable. Why shouldn't WNBA players get a portion of the money they help generate? The idea feels fair, even just. But here's the catch that changes everything. Revenue sharing only works when there's actual profit to share. The NBA and NFL don't just split numbers on gross revenue. They split money left over after all expenses are paid. Hundreds of millions, even billions in some cases. The WNBA doesn't operate that way. The league doesn't make enough to have a leftover to share. What exists is a loss every single year. Asking to divide revenue in a league that hasn't turned a profit yet isn't just complicated, it's financially impossible without risking collapse. Owners tried to address concerns in ways they could. They offered major salary increases that would have more than doubled average player pay in some cases.
Professional female basketball players could soon see a massive pay increase.
Travel conditions were improved, replacing coach-class flights with safer, more comfortable arrangements. Facilities got upgrades, training and medical staff got attention, and living conditions for players traveling overseas were reconsidered. These weren't minor gestures. They were real, tangible improvements that immediately affected the lives of the players. But owners drew the line at revenue sharing because the money simply wasn't there yet.
on a salary system that's tied to a meaningful share of revenue that we help generate.
Asking them to agree would mean either increasing losses drastically or risking the shutdown of the league entirely. Timing became the silent villain. Big media deals promising significant new revenue were already signed, but they wouldn't take effect until 2026. Until that money starts flowing, there isn't a clear path to profitability. Asking for profit sharing before the profits exist forces owners into a corner. Agree, and they risk sinking more money than they can responsibly invest. Refuse and negotiations stall, frustration builds, and the league teeters on the edge of canceling a season. This is why the when matters just as much as the how much. From a business perspective, hesitation isn't cruel or unfair. It's logical. Owners are making decisions based on what exists, not what could exist in the future. They are protecting the league from self-inflicted financial disaster. Yet from outside, it looks like resistance. To fans, emotions run high. Loyalty to players is strong, and frustration is loud. Many people see only the calls for fairness, equality, and higher pay. Few stop to consider that even the most idealistic agreement has to be grounded in numbers. Economics doesn't bend to emotion, no matter how justified or righteous the cause feels. The disconnect between perception and reality is stark. Fans see passion, fight, and statements of principle. Owners see spreadsheets, projections, and years of unprofitable history.
A lot of owners wouldn't buy into the WNBA because it's a loser in terms of financially.
Both sides want the league to succeed, but they're playing different games. One side operates in headlines and hashtags, the other operates in balance sheets and timelines. And until the timing of revenue matches the expectations of the players, friction is inevitable. Mistakes can happen. Misunderstandings grow. Momentum built over decades risks slipping away in moments of impatience. Activism versus reality. A risky line, the WNBA has always stood for more than basketball. From the very beginning, it wasn't just about games or points on the scoreboard. The league positioned itself as a platform for change, for fairness, for equality. That identity attracted fans who believed in the message, who wanted to see sports and activism collide. For decades, it worked. The fans who stuck around didn't just come to watch basketball, they came to support a movement. They cheered for the players on the court and the statements off it. That's what made the league unique, almost sacred to some. But here's where things start to twist. The surge in popularity over the last few years didn't come from the old loyal fan base alone. It came from casual viewers, people who had never paid attention before.
WNBA is some must-see TV, and fans are tuning in and buying tickets at rates not seen in decades.
They weren't there for a movement. They weren't there to analyze manifestos or follow social campaigns. They were there to see basketball, to see skill, speed, and excitement. And that's where tension began to creep in slowly, almost invisibly at first. During the recent negotiations, the messaging from the players' union leaned heavily into moral and social arguments. Words like fairness, equity, and justice dominated every public statement. The protests, the signs, the statements were all framed as fights for principles. On paper, it's admirable. The players were standing up for what they believed in, for every player who came before them, for every generation that would follow. But in practice, the tone shifted, away from negotiation and toward confrontation. What was meant to rally support ended up confusing fans. Old fans were nodding along, but the new fans started scratching their heads. Why are the players comparing contract talks to civil rights struggles? Why is a salary dispute framed as moral outrage? The disconnect became clear fast. Casual fans wanted to cheer for games. They wanted to watch the season, to see new stars make history. They weren't invested in statements or protests. Every public confrontation, every emotional press release started feeling like a distraction from the sport itself. The energy that had brought millions to arenas and screens began to split. Momentum that should have been building was now fraying. Even the media noticed. Analysts and commentators started pointing out the shift. Coverage focused less on the excitement of the league and more on the drama of labor disputes. The story changed from WNBA rises to new heights to players clash with owners. Uncertainty looms. The narrative the league had fought decades to create was suddenly at risk of being rewritten in real time, not by the games themselves, but by the public perception of how negotiations were handled. This is the tricky part about blending activism with business. When the league was small, it could carry both identities without issue. Activism was part of survival. Fans who cared about social impact were also fans of basketball. But now, when popularity grows faster than infrastructure, when casual fans outnumber the old core, priorities clash. Activism that once attracted attention now risks alienating the very people needed to sustain growth. The balance becomes razor thin. Step too far toward principle, and you risk losing support. Step too far toward profit, and you risk compromising identity. Joe Rogan's stunned reaction during discussions captured this perfectly. He didn't mock the league or the players.
Trans men or trans women in the WNBA. Like when
that starts, yeah.
Bro, that all of a sudden would be an exciting game.
He paused, visibly trying to process how the sport itself had become secondary to the public fight. That pause wasn't confusing. It was recognition of the danger that the league was risking long-term momentum for short-term messaging. Fans, once loyal and curious, started questioning whether the league was prioritizing statements over action. The disconnect between activism and reality became impossible to ignore. And here's the harsh truth. Energy in sports is fragile. Momentum can vanish in weeks if the audience feels disconnected. The WNBA was riding the biggest wave it had ever seen, but the framing of this labor fight, the focus on ideology over basketball, created cracks. The casual fans, the ones who might have stayed for years, began to wonder if the league still cared about the sport itself.
The first WNBA championship title, and I gotta tell you, the stands here packed with fans.
The gap between activism and reality was no longer subtle. It was glaring. It demanded attention. And if ignored, it could cost the league more than one season. It could cost it credibility, growth, and survival. Why indefinite feels so dangerous? Hearing the word indefinite in sports is like hearing a warning siren. It signals uncertainty, hesitation, and sometimes fear. For the WNBA, the phrase "shut down indefinitely" hit harder than any stat or press release ever could. Fans didn't just see a canceled season, they saw momentum, hope, and excitement evaporate into thin air. Years of growth, the buzz from new stars, the packed arenas, the sold-out jerseys, all of it risked disappearing before it could fully take hold. That word made people pause, argue, and worry. The danger of indefinite isn't only financial. Sure, missing paychecks is serious. Players rely on their salaries, and many supplement income.
WNBA salary is sparking major debate
with overseas leagues. But it's also psychological. A season canceled without a clear end date makes uncertainty a constant shadow. Training schedules are disrupted. Team chemistry suffers. Fans lose trust. Sponsors start questioning commitment. Each delayed game, each postponed decision adds tension that doesn't go away. The longer the uncertainty exists, the harder it becomes to rebuild momentum, even if a deal is eventually reached. Timing worsens the problem. The WNBA was on the edge of a turning point. Ratings had spiked. New media deals were signed for 2026, promising real revenue growth. But right at that critical moment, the league found itself in tense labor talks, amplified by emotional statements and public disputes. The contrast between potential and reality became painfully visible. Fans saw opportunity slipping away, while public drama took center stage. People who discovered the league for the thrill of basketball began asking, is it really worth it? That doubt can linger far longer than any missing paycheck.
Historically, WNBA players' salaries and salary caps have been fixed numbers.
Indefinite also complicates strategy. Owners can wait patiently. They've been funding the league through losses for decades. Players can't afford the same luxury. Missing a season doesn't just cost money, it costs leverage. The longer the pause, the less bargaining power players have when negotiations resume. The pressure grows unevenly, and outside observers notice. Analysts, journalists, and commentators weigh in, shaping perception. In sports, perception matters. A league that seems unstable loses credibility faster than one that misses a few numbers, here or there. Then there's the ripple effect on the game itself. New fans who were excited after the 2024 season may never return if the league disappears for too long. Older fans already loyal may begin doubting leadership and future prospects. Team culture, community programs, and local fan engagement all take a hit. What started as a business dispute now risks undermining years of effort, planning, and momentum. The word indefinite doesn't just describe time, it describes a vacuum where trust, energy, and growth can vanish. And yet, within that danger lies a lesson.
Ready for the culmination of what has been a wonderful celebration.
Indefinite forces every party to reckon with priorities. What truly matters? Stability or principle? Growth or immediate gains? Momentum can't be preserved by words alone. It requires careful navigation, timing, and practical decisions. One wrong step could make history forget the league's recent highs and turn excitement into regret. Every fan, every player, every sponsor feels it. That's why hearing indefinite resonates so strongly, because uncertainty isn't just a word, it's a warning. This story isn't about villains or heroes. It's about timing, pressure, and choices made when patience mattered most. The WNBA didn't lose interest, it risked losing trust. And trust takes far longer to rebuild than ratings. Joe Rogan's stunned reaction wasn't shocking for the show. It was the kind of pause you make when you realize momentum may have been wasted. When opportunity slips because everyone spoke at once instead of listening. An indefinite shutdown doesn't mean the end is written, but it does mean the clock isn't friendly anymore. Every quiet month erases progress made over loud seasons. The question now isn't who was right, it's who adjusts first. Because the future of the league won't be decided by statements or protests, it will be decided by whether reason shows up before interest disappears. If you want to understand where this goes next and what could still save it, stay connected because this story is far from finished.